Here's the big question, right? For some of us, coffee is like a superpower. It brings focus, energy, and productivity. But for others, it's a straight-up ticket to anxiety, jitters, and a horrible crash in the afternoon. So what is actually going on here?
Well, the answers are in the data. We didn't just read a few articles. We dove deep into 8,729 comments from real people sharing their personal experiences with coffee. This isn't just theory. This is a huge look at what's actually working for people and what really isn't.
Okay, so before we get to all the solutions, let's first get a handle on the problems people are actually running into. These are the things that came up again and again, the issues that made people search for a better way to do caffeine.
This one probably sounds familiar, right? Physical dependence. So many people said they feel totally trapped by coffee, needing it not to feel great, but just to avoid the awful splitting headache that comes from withdrawal.
And this is where it gets really serious. The mental health side of things. For a lot of people, coffee isn't a gentle lift. It's a massive stimulant that can trigger full-blown anxiety, heart palpitations, and even panic attacks. Sometimes it's so bad people think they have an anxiety disorder when, really, it's the coffee.
And we can't forget about the gut. The comments were just filled with stories about acid reflux, gastritis, and all sorts of digestive problems. It turns what should be a nice daily ritual into something that just causes pain.
All right, enough with the problems. Let's talk solutions. After sifting through all those comments, we found 4 powerful strategies that people swore by, things that actually delivered real results.
Okay, this one was by far the most popular tactic, the 90-minute delay. You might have heard about this from neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. The idea is simple. When you wake up, just wait. Give it 90 minutes to 2 hours before you have that first coffee. This lets your body clear out a molecule called adenosine that makes you sleepy, which means you won't get that massive energy crash later in the day.
And look, here's the proof. This isn't something that takes weeks to kick in. This person, and so many others, said that awful afternoon slump just vanished on the very first day. It's such a simple change, but the payoff is huge. It's pretty crazy.
Next up, how you actually brew your coffee matters a lot. So many people saw their health get better just by switching to a simple paper filter. And here's why. Things like a French press or espresso leave in these oily compounds that can actually raise your bad cholesterol. A paper filter? It just catches them. Easy.
Now, what you put in your coffee is just as critical. Look at this chart. Things like oat milk or sugar send your blood sugar on a total roller coaster, which leads to crashes and cravings. The winning move? High-fat, low-carb stuff like heavy cream or an unsweetened nut milk. It keeps your blood sugar stable and your energy stays right there with it.
And finally, what about tolerance? You know, when you need more and more coffee to feel anything. Well, a ton of users found a clever fix. Just don't drink it every day. An every other day schedule keeps your body sensitive to caffeine, so you get that amazing focus and energy boost without becoming totally dependent.
So we know what works, but it's just as important to know what doesn't work. The data showed us a few really common traps that people fall into all the time.
First big mistake, the decaf myth. You know, people try to cut back, switch to decaf, but they still feel anxious or jittery. Well, that's because decaf is not caffeine-free. It still has about 3% of the original caffeine, and if you're sensitive, that's more than enough to have an effect.
Now, this was a really fascinating pattern that we saw. For a lot of people with different neurotypes, especially ADHD, caffeine does the complete opposite of what you'd expect. Instead of making them hyper, it actually calms them down, helps them focus, or even helps them sleep. So if you're in that boat, expecting a typical energy boost is just not going to happen.
And please, listen to this one. This is so important. If you decide you want to quit coffee, do not, I repeat, do not go cold turkey. The comments were unanimous on this. It's a recipe for disaster. We're talking days, maybe weeks of terrible headaches, zero energy, and even feeling depressed. The only way that works is to taper off slowly.
So after looking at all 8,729 of these experiences, what's the big takeaway? It's that you have to build your own personal coffee code, one that actually works for your body and your brain.
So let's boil it all down into 4 simple, data-driven takeaways. First, time your first cup. Wait that 90 to 120 minutes after you wake up. Second, filter your coffee. It's better for your heart. 3, pick your add-ins carefully. Think fat and protein, not sugar and starch. And finally, the most important one, know your body. Your personal response is the only thing that truly matters.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. After hearing what thousands of people have learned, often the hard way, Is your coffee habit actually helping you, or could it be silently working against you?
For the full comment analysis and many other topics, you can read the full reports at Shono Insights.